Warning, this content may be disturbing to some audiences. Subscribe. If you dare.
I had a lady who would come in at 6 a.m. as soon as the store opened and buy a 4-pack of the mini wine bottles. Hey everybody, welcome to ANECDOSED. People ask Reddit. Cashiers of Reddit, what products do you silently judge people for buying?
Number 1.
Commenter. Years ago, I worked at a drugstore that had a liquor department. One customer has forever stayed with me, because she broke my heart. She was older, maybe in her late 60s/early 70s, always clean and neat but clearly living on a very restricted income. Very polite as well. She came in every day to buy the exact same thing, with no variation, a pint of the cheapest vodka we had, a can of cat food, and a lottery ticket. After about 6 months of this I asked after her cat and she told me she did not have one, that this was cheap and good enough for her to live on. I was floored. To think of this sweet lady eating cat food so she could afford her lottery ticket and vodka, it still messes me up. Person B. In Germany I saw 2 Eastern European road workers buy dinner once, 2 liters of the cheapest Spanish red wine and a can of cat food, each. Person C. I used to work at a liquor store/pharmacy too. It was sad to watch people pick up their medicine for their liver disease and then buy the nastiest, cheapest vodka, Popov, Stalingrad for example. I felt so bad selling that crap. I felt bad for them cause they were all my regulars and were always nice, probably always wasted. Another sad thing is knowing that the homeless, crack-headed, drunk person used to be pretty successful before messing it up. There was one lady who was crazy smeared red lips, no teeth, always kept her money in her bra, wearing the craziest outfits, always saying she's pregnant, just tapped. Her name was Wendy. Everyone in the neighborhood knew her and she also had family around. She would come in, the family member walks in, says hi and bye, Wendy walks out. Her family member would tell me back then she used to be the most beautiful girl around and used to be a famous stripper with a killer body up until the drugs came along. I couldn't imagine that lady looking normal once in her life and I have seen some crazy ass mofos in my lifetime. It's mean to say but it was true, she really let herself go. Makes me sad to say a gorgeous woman goes to waste.
Number 2.
Commenter. I worked for a liquor store chain for 11 years, I really didn't pay too much attention to the actual item they bought, but the cost and quantity. Had one lady buy 3 1.75 bottles of $9.99 vodka every morning. Her skin was yellow. Person B. Working in a liquor store has its sad moments, but you also start to really care for some of your regulars, even though they're alcoholics. Alcohol is a depressant, so it follows naturally that you're going to run into some sad stories. I once had a very nice, well-dressed, mid-50s woman come into my store, and although she wasn't out of place physically, we're a nicer, higher-end liquor store, she was there at like 1 a.m. and didn't seem to know her way around the beer cooler. I asked if I could help her find something and she pretty silently said Blue Moon. I do my thing and show here where it is, suggest some similar beers, ask her if there's anything else I can help her find, and she says no. While I'm ringing her up, she's very focused on getting a receipt. We don't automatically print them, so I usually just chat with customers to fill the 5 seconds it takes me to pull up the menu and find her receipt and print it. She asked me to make her a few copies just in case and I'm like of course, not a problem, and then she asked if I have an envelope or something to keep them safe. I try my best to find something for her and end up folding some cardboard and rubber banding it for her, and I ask her why she's going through all the trouble to keep her receipts safe. She breaks down and tells me that she's on her way to the hospital where her daughter is dying. All she wanted before she went was to share a blue moon with her mother. She was bawling and could barely hold herself upright by this time, so I went around the counter and gave her a big hug until she could pull herself together. One of those hugs where the person you're hugging is just shaking from grief and squeezing you as tight as they can for support. I helped her to her car and told her to be safe on her drive. I could tell that she was a Christian from her Jesus fish and cross hanging from her rear view, and although I don't believe in any of that anymore, I just told her I'll pray for you and your family. Which made her cry a bit and she hugged me one more time, then she left. I never saw her again, but if God ends up being real, he got his first prayer from me in 2 years, and I hope he takes care of her. Person C. 8-year liquor store employees here and I know those same types of people. The best is when they come in every day, but they pretend like it's their first time in the store. Completely oblivious to the fact that I know everything about them. Person D. I also work in a liquor store that actually delivers. We have one customer that buys 6 liters of swill-ass brandy every week and has it delivered. His place smells like piss and is filthy. Hard not to judge the guy. I feel sorry for him. Person E, I'm working on one now. People buy 12 mini bottles of cheap vodka/gin multiple times a day just so they can pace their drinking. It's sad. Person F, I work at a liquor store too and would have a guy come in every Monday and buy 3 1.75 liters of Lord Calvert, a case of Barton's vodka, and 4 30-packs of Natty Light. I remember him because he'd usually need help carrying it all out. I haven't seen him in a couple years and never really thought about it, but I'm guessing he probably either passed away or found a different liquor store where he can save like 50 cents. I used to probably drink too much college, but working in the liquor store made me cut back a lot. There's so many sad or douchebag drunks that came in all the time and I definitely didn't want to end up like them.
Number 3.
Working in a liquor store is rough. I did for a month, I couldn't take it anymore. It was in a rural place in western Massachusetts. There was a tent city of homeless people built next to the railroad tracks, maybe about 50 meters from the store. The store would open at 8 a.m., I didn't think this was legal and asked the owner, why. She explained by saying, "You'll see." The most memorable thing was a couple came in, high as F on something speedy with a kid who had to be over 5 years old, in a stroller. They left the kid in the stroller by the door and started running around the store having no idea what to buy, totally flying. The kid was screaming and crying and they were telling him to shut up. They finally, after like 20 minutes, decided to buy a small bottle of 99 bananas and a nip of Southern Comfort. When I quit that job I was crying. I didn't have the heart, I drank too, no knocking the booze, to sell to people with serious drinking problems.
Number 4.
I worked at a large retail/grocery for a while and I couldn't care less if you were buying cucumbers and Vaseline. I ring up so much crap that I'm rarely paying attention. On the other hand, if you were spending $300 on groceries and your cart wasn't even full, just go down to Whole Foods or something if you need to spend a fortune. You can fill a cart with quality food that can feed a family for about $120 average, at least in TX. I know groceries are a little more expensive in other states. $60 if you get shit food. If you're spending hundreds, you don't know how to shop.
Number 5.
I used to work at a liquor store and one guy would go through a bottle of scotch every day, another would buy a bottle of vodka in the morning, and then another in the afternoon when he finished work, and he was a glazier.
Number 6.
I worked as a grocery store cashier for 4 years in college and I had a lady who would come in at 6 a.m. as soon as the store would open and buy a 4-pack of the mini wine bottles. She was shaking so badly that she could barely hand me the cash for it. We would find the bottles empty outside in a trash can. It was really sad.
Number 7.
Commenter. Anything old ladies buy at Ross. They come in every day and spend all of their money on useless items and clothes and shoes. Then they return everything at different Roses and buy more junk. It's an addiction. Person B. Worked at Ross, can confirm. For every 10 items sold, there were 9 items returned. Everything in the store was so used and beaten up and bought and returned so many times that the store was really just an expensive thrift store. Person C. I work at Value Villages/Savers, it's the same thing there. So many old ladies will fill their carts full of shit they found while browsing, and when they're done, they sort through all the stuff they amassed before checking out. Still ends up being over $100 most of the time. Person D. This is also really common at Walmart when I worked there. Old women in electric scooters would spend 5 to 6 hours in the store buying useless junk, then returning it a few weeks later for other junk they don't need. Even going so far as swapping the same item for each color of it we had. For example, buy the orange blanket week 1. Return it week 2 and buy the red. Return it week 3 and buy the blue, on and on until we run out of colors. Then they would bring it back for another style or brand.
Number 8.
I used to work at the Gap when I was in high school. Kids would buy something on a Friday and return it a day or 2 later. You could figure out what it was for because it would come back smelling like perfume, and once in a while there would be a student ID in the pocket. They were just buying it for an event. School dance, movie night, who knows?
Number 9.
I don't really judge as much as I try to figure out what you're doing that night. Buying cake mix, sprinkles, pop, chips. Okay, easy, you're having a birthday party. Buying a pack of condoms and a frozen pizza. You're obviously some sort of sex god who lures in victims with delectable food.
Number 10.
Commenter. Toothless, red-eyed, twitchy guy with 2 8-packs of canned air duster. Have fun cleaning out your processor heatsink there, buddy. Person B. When I worked at a Radio Shack in high school, I had a kid, probably around 16, who used to come into the store once a week and buy 1 can of air duster while all of his friends would wait outside. Once I realized it was a pattern, I started asking him at the till cleaning out the old computer. Every time. The first time he looked up at me so strange, but it turned into this weird ritual. I would ask him and he would reply, "Yup. It's pretty dusty." And would literally run out of the store, all of his friends giggling and running away. Classy kids.
Number 11.
I worked as a cashier as my first job, and there are very few customers I can remember. The only one that I still remember is the lady who used to buy hundreds of dollars of canned cat food every week. She brought in her own bags to get the 3-cent per bag discount, and they reeked of cat pee. We would switch out the bags when she wasn't looking and give her the discount anyway. The only other customers I remember are the ones that I liked. There was an older man that came in for a newspaper every Sunday morning, and he would have a conversation with me because no other customers were there that early. There was the teenage boy that bought me a rose because he thought I looked like I needed to be cheered up. One lady who worked at a food pantry would come in twice a month and buy meat and dairy products to give away out of her own money because the pantry only offered shelf-stable food. Make sure to share your personal story in the comments below and have the opportunity to be featured in a future video. Also, if you like these topics, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification button to continue seeing more content like this every day. See you next time.